This video contains advice on how to present at a conference where interpreting is provided. The speaker needs to be aware of several issues regardless of whether a sign language or a spoken language is used for presentation. The video shows some specific strategies to help you develop effective presentation skills. For starters, there are two important points to note. First, there will be some time lag or delay between your speech and the interpreting. The interpreter will process your presentation, the source language, in chunks before converting it to a different language. Even in simultaneous interpreting, there will be a short delay between the source language and the interpreting. This is the same for all language interpreting combinations, whether spoken to spoken, spoken to signed, signed to spoken, or signed to signed language interpreting. In relay interpreting, where the source language is interpreted into a common language before being interpreted into other languages, the delay is longer.
Giving you time to look at the slide.
ではスライドもご覧ください。
Okay, as I mentioned, English must express the distinction between singular and plural on the noun.
単数と複数の区別というのが名詞に必ずあります。
English
これを
verb
しなくてはいけ
agreement
ま
is
せん。
rather impoverished.
Because of this delay, if you point to one of your slides while speaking, the audience members who rely on interpretation will not always be looking at the screen at the same time, so they may not understand you.
The first is
一つ目が
subject, verb, object word order,
SVO の語順。
and the other type
もう
is
一つが
passive word
受
order,
動体の語順
or。object, verb,
あるい
subject
は
word order.
OVS
In
の
either
語
of
順で
these
す。
two cases, the
この二
object
つ
The second point to note is that the audience can process only one source of visual information at a time. In spoken language presentations, audience members can look at a slide while listening to the explanation, but they cannot look at the sign language interpreter and slide at the same time. So the deaf audience needs time to alternate their line of sight between the interpreter and the slide. They need time to understand the slide before looking back to the speaker.
All right, this is the map of Indonesia. Borneo Island and Bali Island, Katakolog is used in Bali, and Kadori, that I'm continuing to describe, is spoken in Borneo.
So that you don't want to talk just about phonology. As this gentleman said, you could have a case where a signer has aphasia or other brain damage, and they can have.
What can you do to make your presentation easy for the interpreter and audience to understand? We will now show 3 specific examples. In each example, the speaker is showing something to the audience. In the first example, the speaker is showing a slide. When giving a spoken presentation, tell the audience, please look at the slide and wait for the sign language interpreter to lower his or her hands. Be aware that a deaf person will look at the slide after the interpreter stops signing and will need time to go through the slide. Avoid speaking while the audience looks at the slide.
Give
you time to look at the slide.
ではスライドもご覧ください。
Okay, as I mentioned, English must express the distinction between singular and plural on the noun.
単数と複数の区別というのが名詞に必ずありま
English
す。これを
verb
しなくてはいけ
agreement
ま
is
せん。
rather impoverished.
An even more effective technique is to give the audience time to re-examine the slide after you finish explaining it. The same courtesy should be shown if you are presenting in a sign language. After telling the audience to look at the slide, wait for the sign language interpreter to lower his or her hands.
インタビューの結
But
果、
through the interview,
あまりその単語は使わないといった答えが多かった単語を削除していき、
words which
結
were
果
not used
残ったのが
by the
23単語
signers,
と
so
なったも
therefore
の
we
です。
focused on
この
23
23
words.
単語、どういったものなのか単語
So
リストをご紹介いたします。
that's the list of the 23 words on this slide.
この単語、一つずつお見せします。
So one by one, I signed
上
the
段
words.
の
If you want to explain the content of the slide while showing it, give the audience time to examine it before starting your explanation. If you need to refer to separate sections of a slide, tell the audience, for example, please look at the first line, and then wait a few moments. Time your explanation to allow the audience members to finish reading. Repeat this technique when explaining the second and subsequent lines. The next example demonstrates how to show a video. When giving a spoken presentation, tell the audience, please watch the video, and wait for the sign language interpreter to lower his or her hands before playing the video. Refrain from talking when showing the video.
The example is that
例を示しましょう。
the signer describes a situation where a tweeter looks through binoculars
鳥が
and
双
sees
眼鏡
something
を
that
使って見て何か怖いものが見えたっていう描写についてこれを例として挙げてみます。
And it looks like this.
こんな風です。
Bird,
鳥、
binoculars,
双眼鏡、
frightened.
怖い。
So here you see that the face
ご覧のよう
from
に
when the signer signs.
When presenting in a sign language, tell the audience, I would now like to show a video. Then lower your hands and wait until the interpreter catches up. Once you start the video, refrain from making any comments until it ends. When providing simultaneous interpreting during the video to help spoken language users to understand, tell the sign language interpreter in advance that signing will not be required. One technique is to use subtitles in the video.
こういったバチソンの両手手
So
話の
these
音
are
制約というもの
the
があるわ
two
けですが、 そ
phonological
れに対応
constraint
し
of
た動画をご覧いただき
Bateson,
ま
and I
す。
would like to show you a video corresponding to that theory.
もう一度ご覧ください。
Again,
もう一度再生します。
again, I'll wanna replay.
歌う先ほどのバチソンのルールにもあるように
This is
同じ
In the third example, the speaker demonstrates something for the audience. When giving a spoken presentation, tell the audience, "Now I will show you the expression for X," and then wait for the sign language interpreter to lower his or her hands before demonstrating the expression. Once you have finished, pause for a moment before returning to your talk. Avoid speaking or vocalizing during the demonstration.
Okay, so the two gender morphemes I'm going to show you. The first I'll show you male.
2つご
And
紹
the
介
second
したい
I'll
と思
show
い
you
ます。
female.
まず男性、2つ目が女性です。
And these can function as pronouns.
これらを代名
They
詞とし
can
て機能したり、
function as
When presenting in a sign language, tell the audience, "Now I will actually demonstrate the expression for X," then lower your hands and wait until the interpreter catches up. Only sign the relevant expression during the demonstration. You can repeat the expression, but do not add any explanation. Once you have finished, pause for a moment before returning to your talk.
なぜかというと、実はその新しく作られた手話単語の多くが
Because
ネ
those
イティ
new
ブサイナ
coined
ーの言語的直感にそぐわないものであるわけです。例え
not
ば、コラーゲンという新しく
intuitively
作られた手話をお
by
見せ
the
しま
native
す。
signer.
ちょ
For
っとご覧
example,
くだ
this is
さい。
collagen, new word meaning collagen.
これでコラーゲンという新しい単語なんですけれど
So
も、
this is a new
本には
word
掲載されていますが、ろう者が使っている例
for
をほぼ
collagen.
見たことは
Here are some other points to note. Speaking too slowly will make your presentation difficult to interpret, so speak at a normal speed. However, at the end of a sentence, paragraph, or idea, inserting a brief pause helps the interpreter.
In terms of iconicity,
一方、
it
図像
has
性に
also
関
been
して
mentioned several times
これ
today
も
that
今日
signs
何
are
回か
well
話
known
が
as
出てきまし
having
た
a much higher percentage of
手話の
iconic
方が
elements,
図像
iconic
性の
signs,
要素が
iconic
非常に
aspects of
大
the
きい
grammar than
文
spoken
法
languages in
それからア
general.
スペクト的にも強い意味を持っていると言われ
It's
てい
been
ます。
reported widely by sign language students and their teachers that
手話を
iconicity
学
seems
ぶ
to
学生によります
play
と
a
図像性
facilitatory
が
role for
促進
sign
効
language
果を
learners
も
as
たらす
adults.
という
So
ことなんです。
they
大人になっ
recognize
てか
when a
ら手
sign
話を
is
習得し
iconic
ようとした場合、
and that helps
そ
them
の図
remember
像
the
性を
sign. So it
覚えるこ
functions
と
as
で
a
その手話が習
sort of
得し
mnemonic
やすくな
device.
るということです。
But that sensitivity to iconic
しか
signs
し
isn't always a positive.
図
Sometimes
像
it's
性
negative.
が強いという
There's
こ
been
とがマイナ
studies
スに
When preparing your slides, take the following issues into account. Show proper nouns and technical terms in written form to make them easier to share with the audience. Show the terms that convey your talking points on the slides. Be aware of the distinction between slides that are intended to emphasize proper nouns and technical terms at a glance and slides that you want your audience to read. Finally, when presenting at a conference with interpretation, the issue of time delay needs to be considered. Structure your presentation to allow more time than usual to provide explanations. Different factors need to be considered when presenting at a conference with interpreting than when presenting in only a single language. Although it may seem challenging at first, once you familiarize yourself with these presentation skills, you will be able to communicate your message more precisely and to a wider audience. We hope that this video will help you to communicate with your audience more effectively.